Give in the book. Come. तो ट्रीटा कंप्लीट ही नहीं पढ़ी ना मैं ना टिके अल्प टिके स्टार्ट करथिले अल्प
सर पहले 3
last class रे perhaps we have started a certain type of notes dictation करथिले relating to which chapter towards Philip Larkin complete ही जाइतिला listen students perhaps we have just started one or two stanzas related to tree. It is written by Manoj Das. Till then, in the morning, I have taught 3 groups relating to the watchman. काले मु राति रे भी मध्य हमर फोन करथले श्रुति मते कहला watchman स्टार्ट करिया बोले मु कॉमर्स रो 3टा इंस्टीट्यूट पढाई के आसिलेनी watchman चैप्टर टा पढाई के आछि मु हेतु watchman टा कंप्लीट कर दो नेक्स्ट चैप्टर ट्री तो जस्ट स्टार्ट करछे सिट व्हाई यू स्टडिंग इन द लास्ट बेंच कम टू द फ्रंट or come to the middle you are invisible come to the front or come to the middle of the class Western is there or come to the middle. While we are teaching students, the eye catching would be something different. Listen, students, of course, we have a very interesting chapter that is tree. It is written by Manoj Das, but we will have to complete the chapter that is relating to the watchman students. Because in the next class, I will have to provide the notes in other institutions relating to watchman. ଯେତେବେଳେ ୱାଟ୍ସମ୍ୟାନ୍ ସେ ଇନଷ୍ଟିଚ୍ୟୁଟ୍ରେ ନୋଟ୍ ଦେବି ଏଠି ବି ଦେଇଦେବି ଆଟ୍ ଏ ଟାଇମ୍ କମ୍ପ୍ଲିଟ୍ ହେଇଯିବ ଆଉ କେତେଟା ଆମର କ୍ଲାସ୍ ଲାଗିବ ଅଲ୍ଟରନେଟିଭ୍ ଇଂଲିଶ ବହୁତ ଶୀଘ୍ର ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ କରିନେବା କମ୍ପ୍ଲିଟ୍ ନେକ୍ସଟ ଲିସନ୍ ଷ୍ଟୁଡେଣ୍ଟସ୍ ଦ ୱାଚମ୍ୟାନ୍ what the watchman symbolizes here and how R.K. Narayan depicts the topic in an insightful manner that is something amusing, something strange and something reality. Pre-reading activity, have you ever given a thought to why people commit suicide? Very interesting chapter, students. And actually practical example is there relating to this chapter. And give it a thought now at least possible reasons here why people commit suicide. Most of the students of sociology have gone through relating the concept relating by Emile Durkheim. Emile Durkheim the concept ଦେଇଛନ୍ତି relating to suicide से chapter गुड़ा एठी मध्य benedictory it is relating to. What is your view of the people who commit suicide? So many people are there. What is the reason behind them to commit suicide? Focusing the question in this unit, you will read a story dealing with a case of attempting suicide. Somebody is getting to be introduced herself or himself to commit suicide. As you read the story, the focusing question you will bear in mind are what are the question raises here, what are the incoming interruptions relating to human personality, why did not the girl want to live? Listen here. So far as the topic the watchman is concerned, it is relating to rehabilitating proceedings relating to a girl when she is forbidden qualification or education, how she wants to commit suicide. And secondly, is it justifiable reason for committing suicide? God's greatest creation is a human being. And when human being got its birth, at that time, two principles are given to the human personality. One is pleasure, another is pain.
Sir,
And
what
it
do
is
you think? Why people commit suicide?
why people commit suicide. When people committing suicide, so many reasons are there. Actually, students most of the time isolation. Suppose you are separated from your family members and when you find yourself dumb like substances, at that time, suppose I will set Adyasa in an island and we will provide her any type of food items, any type of costly dresses, any type of amusement or entertaining facilities, still then she will not survive. Because man is a social animal. The society provides him the pleasure which is not found in the market value system. So students, this is the reason. Another reason at the present scenario why people commit suicide. Maybe owing to irreparable substances. Irreparable substances in the sense, suppose you brought maximum money from the bank as a loan, and if you could not repay it, at that time one type of a stumbling activity comes to your mind and you will decide to commit suicide. That's why the farmers in India most of the time commit suicide. Another one is illegal activities, and you must be knowing it. When a girl, when a boy is committing something illegal, subterraneous, at that time she or he is irreparable to the social order, societal value system. At that time, one is committing suicide. And another thing is psychology. Psychologically, actually, when we consider about the case of suicide, most of the people commit suicide. It is their natural habit. From the initiation, from the beginning, from the childhood, most of the students, most of the children, most of the people all over the world, they decide that we must have to preoccupy ourselves and set the questionable mark relating to suicide. And the last one, so far as my knowledge is concerned, most of the time egocentric attitude. You must be knowing about Lord Clive, you must be knowing about Kennedy. So students most of the time, suppose Tanu has a good relationship with Adyasa, of course with the others, but still then 99.9 maybe with the Adyasa. When Tanu discloses her sufferings or I mean uh, sorrow, anything else to Adyasa, at that time Adyasa advises Tanu what to recover with, what type of a remedy must take Tanu. At that time the relaxation or perfection is coming to her. Not only Tonu, not only Adyasa, almost all the teachers, almost all the students, you must be knowing about. When we are sharing our sorrows and sufferings with others, when we actually share our pain and pleasures to others, it gives us some type of a delight. You are celebrating your birthday. Listen to me, student. When you are celebrating your birthday at home, at that time you are actually cutting cakes. You are distributing sweets to others. But try to understand my point of view. When you are distributing chocolates to your friends, near about 80 or 90 or 100 students here, it gives you certain type of a predicament. So, listen, students. Is it justifiable reason for committing suicide? What is the justice behind it? What is the reason behind it? Still, then I feel stability of a mind, patience can make anything impossible to be possible. There was still a faint flash of red on the western horizon. You say, when there is sun, setting of the sun, the western horizon looks red. When there is rising of the sun, the eastern horizon looks red. That's the reflection of the value system. So far as sun is concerned. The watchman stood on the tank watch and they took a final survey. Perhaps the profession of the watchman is to look after the pond, is to search out the pond, is to protect the pond from any type of committing suicide. पोखरीटा अच्छी प्रबल पानी अच्छी बहुत पानी अच्छी बहुत गभीरतम पानी अच्छी गभीर पोखरी ता पाखे अधिकांश लोक जाइए से जगह कौन करते निरोला जगह आइसोलेटेड प्लेस पड़े गले पोखरी भितर डेई पड़े कमिट करते सुइसाइड से गोटे वॉचमैन को रखा जाइए वॉचमैन कौन कर सर्विलेंस भितर रखिबो सीसीटीवी भाया क्या ना पॉन्ड को in order to dissuade the persons not to commit suicide there. When the person are going there angrily or feel certain type of isolation or feel certain type of insociable value system, at that time they set out themselves to commit suicide in the point, and it is the responsibility, is the profession, it is the duty of the watchman to restrain the people not to jump into the pond or to commit suicide themselves. Getting through? Yes. The watchman stood on the tank once and took a final survey. देखिला रात्रि हेलानी आउ के लोक माने एठी आसीबेनी लोक माने जे जोटी रहबा कथा रहिबे स्टिल देन मुटिके सर्व कर दिए सर्वे करनी आउ कौन से पर्सनालिटी अछंती कि देयर इन all the people who had come for evening walks had returned to their homes. People are habituated themselves from morning work, also from evening work. मॉर्निंग वर्क पे हैबिचुएटेड अछंती इवनिंग वर्क पे हैबिचुएटेड अछंती जो माने इवनिंग वर्क कर आसीथिले दे हैव रिटर्न देयर होम नॉट ए सोल एनीवेयर एक्सेप्ट दैट ऑब्स्टिनेट एंगलर at the northern ends who sat with his feet in water sadly gazing on his rod. Listen students, what is the meaning of angler? Angler in the sense जो माने बंसी पकान बंसी गोटे रड थी गोटे बाड़ी थी गोटे स्टिक लाइक सब्सटेंसेस इज देयर लुहा रड भी होपे तादरे कौन करवा आम थ्रेड रोटे हुक रही आम कौन करूँ ना बेसिकाली जोटा कि यूज करूँ आम बंसी जो माछ धरने यूज करूँ कहीं से जगह ना नॉट ओनली नॉट वन इज अवेलेबल बट वन पर्सन इज अवेलेबल टू एक्चुअली कलेक्ट फिशेस not a soul anywhere except that obstinate angler at the northern end चारटा एंड आम रहा पांचटा एंड पोखर एटलिस्ट आम पांचटा एंड कहीपर किंबा सो फार द डायरेक्शन इज कंसर्न साउदर्न नॉर्दर्न ईस्टर्न वेस्टर्न सेंट्रल जोन रे जाइए किए बसिक बंशी पकई पारे कि चारिटा जोन रे पकई पारे चारिटा साइड रे पकई पारे आउ जोटा से सर्कुलर पाथ रे भी जदि थी सेटा भी पर्टिकुलरली गोटे डायरेक्शन को पॉइंट आउट कर परिबा नॉर्दर्न पार्ट रे रहिचंदी कि ना गोटे एंगलर who sat with his feet in water बसीची तो बसीची पानी रे ता पादटा बुड़ी के रहिची sadly gazing on his rod दुखे रे अनेकरी बसीची को अनेकरी बसीची ना आमे कोन करिमा ना गोटे केमति माछटा पड़िले धरि के नै के जे दैट इज द प्रिंसिपल it was no use bothering about him he would sit there till midnight hoping for a catch. That is the responsibility, that is the profession of the angler to catch a fish. It may be letting towards midnight. Midnight भीतर गोटे fish तार धरी पार अछि anyway. The taluk office come struck 9. Taluk office in the sense तहसील तहसील ऑफिस रे जो घंटाटा बाजुची स्ट्रोक कलानी बर्तमान बाजी गला केते 9टा त माने आवाज आसी गला 9टा बाजिला तमे जानि दिबो विशेष करी जो वाल क्लॉक गुडा थाए 9टा बाजिला टम टम till 9. So students, the watchman was सेठी गोटे कंप्लीट मीटिंग हेछि देले satisfied कोन थिला मा The watchman was satisfied that no trespassing cattle had sneaked in through the wire fencing. Trespassing means unauthorized. Get in. Priyanka, come to the front. Why are you sitting there? Listen, students. The watchman was satisfied that no trespassing cattle had sneaked in through the wire fencing. The watchman is satisfied. The pond is well fenced by wire. Still then, most of the time, the cattle enter into the pond, not obstructing by the wire. आम कौन कर पोखरी चारिपटे जाक बाड़ बुझे देचे तार किंतु बड़ कथा है ट्रेसपासिंग मैंने अनअथराइज जबरदस्ती एंट्री करवा तुम देखो रेलवे जो ट्रैक थी जो टोल गेट गुड़ा पड़ी से लिखे नो ट्रेसपासिंग माने अनअथराइज तुम एंट्री कर. सो स्टूडेंट्स इन थ्रू द वायर फेंसिंग भाग्य भल जे जेतेबेले सुधा कौन सी प्रकार ट्रेसपासिंग करी नाथि कैटल माने जो तार काट दिया है फेंस ता भीतर की एंट्री करी नाथि आज ही टर्न टू गो ही सॉ अबाउट 100 yards आए जेतेबेले बुली पड़ी देखिले किए वॉचमैन का कथा बोलुची देखो ये 100 yards से आए 100 गज दूरे रे कौन है जी ना a shadow figure moving down the narrow stone steps that led to the water edge रिफ्लेक्शन शैडो हमें दीटा जगह रे पाई परिबा it may be in the morning hour maybe in the evening or afternoon session the shadow is created but the reflection most of the time we find in water level water पाखर जे तमे कूले रे छिडा हैचो ताल तम रिफ्लेक्शन आसीबो कोन if the water was surface tension is still से जगह रे भी किछ रिफ्लेक्शन आसे हमें मिरर जगह रे पढुतिले so students a shadow figure moving down the narrow stone steps के moving down है के जाउची that led to the water edge पानी धारा पर्यंत गोटे छाई पड़ी पड़ी आछी तार माने केई बोधे बोधे इंडिविजुअल रहिछि सेठी केई पर्सनालिटी जो रहिछि जो पर्सनालिटी रिफ्लेक्शन होछि कोठी वाटरी सब्सटेंसेस he thought for a second that it might be a ghost actually that is human imagination most of the time which is not seen but prediction is there we find that it is a ghost के केबे देखिनी कि ghost बाबद हमें imagination रखिछि कि prediction रखिछि ताले हमें तो कहबा कोन कि ghost like substances but students he dismissed the idea and went up to investigate thereafter started to investigate look into the matter what is going on if it was anyone come to bath at this hour इतने लेट में कई कोन आसी कि गाधैया कहीं पोखरी को what is the reason of coming such a personality from the top step he observed that it was a woman's top step ऊपर जो पहाच पोखरी भीतर को स्टेपिंग अछि पहाच रही छे ऊपर पहाच रे तले मुझे देखिली गोटे वुमेन रही छथि गोटे गर्ल रही छथि कई जने लेडीज अछंती so students from the top steps he observed that a woman's form she stood over the last step कोटी की गले चाली चाली करी गले कोटी की लास्ट स्टेप स्टार्ट इनिशियल स्टेप रे थिले फर्स्ट स्टेप रे गड़ी आसिले टू इनटू द माने टुवर्ड्स द एक्चुअली लास्ट स्टेप and placed something on it देखिले आखरे गोटे कोन रो इच लास्ट स्टेप रे गोटे किछ थुआइछ कोन थुआइछ possible a letter and that is nothing but suicidal perhaps परप्लेक्स्ड हे जाए लास्ट को डिसिजन रे तले नै थाई कमिटमेंट करबी किछि ता मनु गोटे लिखि देई कि पळाए and that is nothing but last message she then stepped into knee deep water that means water up to the knee आंठुए पानी भीतर को एंट्री करछि and stood there her hands pressed together in prayer हाथ जोड़ी करी जोटा कहै जे हमर कोन ना hands pressed together हाथ जोड़ी के से कोन करछि प्रार्थना करी कहउछि unmistakable signs always to be followed by the police and gruesome details bringing the very worst possible reputation to its तापर पेल देखिनियो what happens to be से टैंक रो किछि ना किछि रेपुटेशन खराब हेलानी कारण इट इज गेटिंग टू बी ओमिनस एटा अशुभ हे गलानी टैंक ता मैक्सिमम जोटी लोक माने कमिटिंग करचंदी सुइसाइड लोक कोन कहबे से अंक पॉइंट रे बदे मरि गला कोठी हजि गला कोठी जदी लोक माने प्रेडिक्ट करिवे से पॉइंट रे बदे बुडी क्री मरथबे कि कमिट करथबो सुइसाइड तेन करी इट इज गेटिंग टू बी एक्चुअली इनफेमस देयरियन सो स्टूडेंट्स अनमिस्टेकेबल साइंस से जगह रे किछि ना किछि लोक माने अनमिस्टेकेबल कोन करते डिसीजन नै सारंती always to be followed by the police and gruesome details what is the meaning of gruesome details in the sense when we take certain type of ghastly pre requirements लोक माने जते बेले कोन करंती शैतान बुद्धि आसे लोक माने कमिटमेंट करन जते बेले लोक मानकर किछि निज ऊपर भरोसा ना आसे कमिटमेंट करंती लोक माने जते बेले इलीगल जोटा लीगल नै किछि मिस्टेक करनियंती भूल बसत लोक सेते बेले कमिटमेंट करंती आ गोटे इल फेम गोटे लोक जते बेले कहे मु जस हरैली ए समाज रे सम्मान हरैली आ मु बंची कि रही किछि लाभ नाही सेते बेले लोक माने So students listen here gruesome means horrible or ghastly आमे जोटा कहले horrible इ दिसन तत्पर हे कि केनसी के स्टेप नै पारे किबा ghastly मैनर की कोई डिसीजन नै पारे जति गोटे लोक भाबिबो जे देखो पिले एक्चुअली कमिटमेंट ऑफ सुइसाइड डिपेंड्स ऑन वन साइकोलॉजी और मूड तमें देखिबो चेंजिंग नेचर होची ह्यूमन रो जदि गोटे लोक घंटे भीतर नौची मु सुइसाइड करी से घंटे भीतर ता मामू माई बंधु बांधव आसी पहुंच गले अलगा किसी मीठा पणा नहीं कि घर को आसी पहुंचले देखिबो तंग एटीट्यूड बा मैनर चेंज हो गला से पिला भी किसी डिसीजन नंबर जे मु कमिटमेंट करी सुइसाइड ଯେତେବେଳେ ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଆମର ପ୍ରକୃତିରେ ସେଲ୍ଫ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ରହୁଥିବ ସୋସାଇଟାଲ ଇଣ୍ଟରେଷ୍ଟ ରହୁଥିବ ସେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ କେବେ ବି କୌଣସି ପ୍ରକାର ସୁଇସାଇଡ୍ କରିବାନି ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମ ଉପରେ ଆମର ଭରସା ରହିବନି ଆମ ଜୀବନଟାକୁ ଆମେ ନିରର୍ଥକ ବୋଲି ଭାବିଲେ ସେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ କମିଟମେଣ୍ଟ କରୁ ସୁଇସାଇଡ୍ he shouted that means the watchman shouted come out there come out of it ବାହାରି ସେ ପାଣି ଭିତରୁ ବାହାରି ଆସ come out of there the firm looked up the firm looked up from the water don't stand there and gaze से पानी भीतर छिड़ा होनी और गेज माने एमती चाहि के रहनी कौन सी जिनिसटा को हठात चाहि के रहबा निरेखी के रहबा सेटा हला गेज so students the firm looked up from the water don't stand there and gaze you will catch a cold तुम से पानी भीतर छिड़ा हो ना तुमको ठंडा ही जीवो you will catch a cold come up whoever you are तुम्हें जिए हो भी कहीं पानी भीतर बाहर आस come up he raced down the steps and picked up the letter watchman ठीक रेस करी गले एवं देखिले लेटर टा को पिक अप उठी आनिले he hurriedly lit his lamp lit that is the past form of a light lit his lamp and turned its wick till it burns brightly and held it up murmuring I don't like this why is everyone coming to the same tank if you want to be dead throw yourself under an engine he said wick in the sense कोन ना सळिता जोटा दीप जळे जाबा लैंप जळे से आउ टिके लाइन टा पढि दउची तुम कांसेप्ट क्लियर पई he hurriedly lit his lamp टा लगै दिला लाइट हो पई and turned its wick till it burnt brightly जेमति टिके अधिका जळी उठिबो सेति पई कोन कला एनलाइटमेंट कला and held it up murmuring धीरे धीरे कहइबो गेला कोन कहला कोई I don't like this प्रकृति रे मते एटा भलो लागुनी मु एटा भलो पाए नै why is everyone coming to the same tank ई गोटी टैंक को काहे कि सब लोग माने आसुचनी बाडी द रीजन एई टैंक को से कमिटमेंट करछन सुइसाइड आ कोन तम किछि मिलुनी ऑप्शन नाही सेति पई से राखी करी कोन कहिसंती इफ यू वांट टू बी डेड जे तमे मरिबा को चाहू छ थ्रो योरसेल्फ अंडर एन इंजिन इन दिस ट्रेन लाइन तले तमे सोई जाऊ ना ट्रेन लाइन पाखरे पड़ी जाऊ ना से तो बहुत बढ़िया कटपीस हम सुंदर भाव में सैज कटा हो कहीं आस मला पर जो डेड बॉडी भाषिब लोक मैंने नहीं जी पोस्टमार्टम कर दुनिया इश्यू आसो सो स्टूडेंट्स द लाइट फेल अपन द अदर्स फेस जिते लाइटा से लगे क्या लैंप टाक अलग था मुहर लाइटा पड़ा इट वाज ए यंग गर्ल विथ टीयर्स ये गोटे झील गर्ल थी एंड it was a young girl wet with tears se kandi kiri biji galani se chiyo what is the reason he felt a certain pity watchman no watchman kichi daya bhava asila pity in the sense you must be knowing about certain type of a kindness daya bhava asila pity he said sit down and rest no up to more steps sit down don't sit so near the water झीटा को एडवाइस कर वाचमैन सिट डाउन बसी पड़ तुम बसी पड़ स्टेपिंग रे बसी पड़ आ नियरर जान वाटर लेवल पर्यंत जदि जाइकरी सामने से लेकरी कमिटमेंट सुइसाइड कला इट विल बी समथिंग स्ट्रेंजर एंड द रिस्पांसिबिलिटी वुड बी अपॉन द वॉचमैन जदि नथांते वॉचमैन इट कुड बी सर्टेन टाइप ऑफ इनक्लाइनमेंट दैट the person or the girl or anybody else committing suicide that would not be the responsibility of the watchman जेतु वॉचमैन सामने रे जने कमिट करछि त वॉचमैन कहीं से to avoid the personality or to abdicate the personalities to commit any type of suicide. So students, she obeyed, that girl obeyed the situation and the word of the watchman concerned. She sat down on the last step between her and the water. Listen, the last step is there. After the last step, there is water level. That is water level. And after the last, before the last step, said the girl, before the last step, said the girl, That means in the last step is the watchman, and after the last step is the water. So students, she sat on the last step between her and the water, placed the lantern on the step. ଆଉ କ'ଣ କଲା, ଯୋଉ ଲଣ୍ଠନ ଜାଣିଥିବ ଆମେ ଲଣ୍ଠନ ବୋଲି ଆମେ କହୁ, ସେଟାକୁ ରଖିଲା କୋଉଠି ନା, took out a piece of tobacco and put it in his mouth. Tobacco, you must be knowing about any type of smoking material, and we can't imagine what type of metal that is tobacco in his mouth. She buried her face in her hands. Buried her face in her hands just to feel sad. She buried her face in her hands and began to sob and began to think. He felt troubled and asked, actually, when one discloses one's fault, the reason, it is same for others, but it is practicable for the person concerned. Why don't you rise and go home, lady? Lady उठी पड़ो, तमे घरକୁ कौन ପାଇଁ ଯାଉନା, ତମ ଘରକୁ କଣ ପାଇଁ ଫେରିକିରି ଯାଉନା? She sputtered through the sob, her sob, I have no home in this world. ସେ ଯୋଉ ଭଳି ପ୍ରାୟ ଦୁଃଖର ଭାବରେ ରହିଥିଲା, ସେଇ ସ୍ୱରରେ କହିବାକୁ ଆରମ୍ଭ କଲା, I have no home in this world. ये दुनियारे बा ये विश्वरे बा ये पृथ्वी रे मो ପାଇଁ कोठी घर नाही. Don't tell me surely you did not grow up without a home at all these years. वाचमैन से कौन कले लॉजिकली तुमको कहउचंदी, मते तमे केबे कहि परिबन जे तुमरो गोटे घर नाही बोली. जदि घर तुमरो नाही, तमे ए पर्यंत एते बड़ बयस पर्यंत को जगह रहिथिलो. Said the watchman, I lost my mother when I was 5 years old, she said. से कहिले जेतेबेले मते 5 वर्ष बयस हेतिला, झियोटी कहउचे, सेतेबेले मु हजै बसिछि काहको ना मो मां को. My mother is dead. I thought so, replied the watchman. Watchman कहले मु भी सेही कथा भाबुथिली. And added, एवं आउ कोन कहिले, and your father married. हेई गले, बाहाई गले, सेकंड मैरिज कले. Again, and you grew up under the care of your stepmother. ठीक अछि. बापा जदि मैरिज कले तम स्टेप मदर रो केयरिंग रे तम एते बड़ हेई परिलो. वॉचमैन लॉजिकली फिलोसॉफिकली तमको कहउचंती. Yes, yes, how do you know, she asked. कोन केमिति जानिले? I am 65 years old, he said, and asked, did your stepmother trouble you? तम stepmother तुम किछ ट्रबल करथिले कि? No, there you are wrong, the girl said. She is very kind to me. She has been looking after me ever since my father died a few years ago. सब देखि देखि आस्तिले मते. किंतु बापा जेतेबेले एक्सपर्ट करी गला परे परे, perhaps her attitude has changed. Listen, she has just a little money on hand left by my father. मो बापा मरला पूर्व तांको पाखरे अल्प किछि टंका पैसा रखि करी जाइथिले, and she spends it on us. एवं सेही पैसाटाକୁ से खर्च करूथिले कि स्टेप मदर. And it is nothing but the communication between the watchman and the girl concerned. Watchman looked at the stars. टिके भावनार थिंकिंग प्रोसेस को रिलैक्स करिया पई आमे कोन करू, जेतेबेले टिके टेंशन माइंड हे जाउ, टिके ऊपर को न जाउ, किबा अधिकांश समय आमे कोन करू, डिवाइनिटी स्पिरिट रो टिके आश्रय नबा को चेष्टा करू. साइड फॉर द डिनर, फॉर हर डिनर दैट शी वाज मिसिंग. एवं भाबिला जे प्रकृति रे रात्रि भोजनटा को मते मिसिंग करिया को जाउची, आ संगे कथा वार्ता करिया पई. इट इज वेरी लेट मैडम, गो होम. ऊपर को न दिला रे केते कोन जन को चंद्र आसे लेनी जन केते लेवल राशि पहुंचलेनी. एवं जो आकाश को हम अनै देतिले हमकु जणा पड़ी जाय व्हाट इज द डेप्थ ऑफ द नाइट. एंड स्टिल आई एम लेट फॉर माय डिनर, यू शुड लीव दिस प्लेस क्विकली. इट इज वेरी लेट मैडम, गो होम. मैडम बहुत लेट हे गला घर को जाओ. आई टेल यू आई हैव नो होम, शी रिस्टोटेड एंग्रीली. से जे सोड रागी कि कहला मु आपन को कहिछि, आई हैव नो होम टू रिजाइड विथ, टू सेटल विथ. Your stepmother's house is all right from what you say. She is good to you. तुम स्टेप मदर निश्चित रूपे भल अच्छा तुम तुम से घर को फेरी जाओ. आ तुम्हें जानव कि दुनिया रे जदि हम लिविंग कंडीशन को आसिया को चाहिबा, कंप्रोमाइज इज बेटर देन क्वेरल. का सहित हम कॉन्फ्लिक्टिंग करबानी, क्वेरल करबानी. वी शुड हैव टू कंप्रोमाइज विथ अदर्स. Your stepmother's house is all right from what you say. She is good to you. But why should I be a burden to her? Who am I? The girl is telling hesitatingly. ମୁଁ କାହିଁକି ତାଙ୍କ ଉପରେ ବର୍ଡ଼ନ ହେବାକୁ ଯିବି? And who am I? ମୁଁ କିଏ? ମୁଁ କ'ଣ ପାଇଁ ତାଙ୍କ ଉପରେ ବର୍ଡ଼ନ ହେବାକୁ ଯିବି? ଆକ୍ଚୁଆଲି ସେ ତ ମୋର ନ୍ୟାଚୁରାଲ ମଦର ନୁହନ୍ତି। ସେ ତ ମୋ ପାଇଁ କ'ଣ କି ମୋର ଷ୍ଟେପ୍ ମଦର, ବହୁତ ମୋ ପାଇଁ ସାକ୍ରିଫାଇସ୍ କରିବାକୁ ହିଁ ଯାଇଛନ୍ତି। ଏବେ ବି ମୁଁ ଚାହୁଁନି ସେ ଆଉ ଲ୍ୟାଟର ମୋ ଉପରେ ଏତିକିଟା ସାକ୍ରିଫାଇସ୍ କର। You are her husband's daughter. ତୁମେ ଭାବିବା ଦରକାର ସିଏ ତୁମର ମା ନ ହେଇପାରନ୍ତି, କିନ୍ତୁ ସିଏ ତୁମର କ'ଣ ନା you are her husband's daughter. ତୁମ ବିଶେଷ କରି ଷ୍ଟେପ୍ ମଦରଙ୍କର ହଜବେଣ୍ଡର ତୁମେ ହେଉଛ ଝିଅ। So you must have to obey the rules and regulations concerning to the mother. The watchman said and added, that is enough claim. ମୁଁ ଏତିକିଟା ତୁମକୁ କହିପାରିବି। Step mother is there. She may be cruel or kind, it doesn't matter. Still then, you are her husband's daughter. No, no, I won't live on anybody's charity. ମୁଁ କା ଦୟାରୁ ଚଳିବାକୁ ଚାହୁଁନି। ଚାରିଟି ଦୟା ବା କରୁଣା। ମୁଁ କା ଦୟା ବା କରୁଣାରେ ବଢ଼ିବା ପାଇଁ ଚାହୁଁନି। Then you will have to wait till they find you a husband. ଠିକ ଅଛି, ତମେ ଝିଅ ଅଛ, ତମକୁ ଅପେକ୍ଷା କରିବାକୁ ପଡ଼ିବ। ତମେ କା ଦୟାରେ ବା କରୁଣାରେ ଚଳନି। ତମେ ଯଦି ସେଲ୍ଫ ଇଣ୍ଡିପେଣ୍ଡେଣ୍ଟ ହେବ ହେଇପାର, କିନ୍ତୁ ଷ୍ଟିଲ୍ ୟୁର ଗେଟିଂ ଅନ୍ ୱିଥ୍ ମ୍ୟାରେଜ୍ ଇଜ୍ କନସର୍ନ। ମ୍ୟାରେଜ୍ ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ତାଙ୍କ ସୁପରଭିଜନରେ ତାଙ୍କ ଗାଇଡେନ୍ସରେ ରହିବାଟା ଜଷ୍ଟିଫିକେସନ୍। ଗୋଟେ ଝିଅ ଯେପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ପର ଘରକୁ ନ ଯାଇଛି ସେପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ମା କିମ୍ବା ବାବାଙ୍କ ଗାଇଡେନ୍ସରେ ରହିବା ଉଚିତ, କିମ୍ବା କୌଣସି ଲିଗାଲ ଗାର୍ଡିଆନଙ୍କ ଅଣ୍ଡରରେ ରହିବା ଉଚିତ। She glared at him in the dark. That's what I don't want to do. I want to study and become a doctor and earn my livelihood. ସେଇଟା ମୋ ଏମ୍ ନୁହେଁ। ମୁଁ କେଉଁଠି ହଜବେଣ୍ଡ ପାଖକୁ ପଳେଇଛି ମୋତେ କିଏ ମ୍ୟାରେଡ୍ କରିଦେବେ, ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଇଜ୍ ନଟ୍ ମାଇ ଆକ୍ରେଡିଏସନ୍। ମାଇ ଅବଜେକ୍ଟ ଇଜ୍ ଟୁ ଲର୍ନ ହାର୍ଡ, ଇଜ୍ ଟୁ ଷ୍ଟଡି ସିରିୟସଲି ଅନ୍ ଦି ବେସିସ୍ ଅଫ୍ ମାଇ ପ୍ରି ଅକୁପେସନ୍। ମୋର ଯେତିକି ଅଛି ସେତିକି ନେଇକିରି ମୋତେ ପଢ଼ିବାକୁ ପଡ଼ିବ। ଆଣ୍ଡ ମାଇ ଏକ୍ସପେକ୍ଟେସନ୍ ଇଜ୍ ଟୁ ବି ଏ ଡକ୍ଟର। ଯେତେବେଳେ ମୋର ମନ ଭିତରେ ଅଛି ମୁଁ ଗୋଟେ ଡକ୍ଟର ହେବି, ଆଣ୍ଡ ଇୟର୍ନ ମାଇ ଲାଇଭଲିହୁଡ୍, ମୋ ଜୀବିକା ମୁଁ ସେଇଥିରେ ହିଁ ମେଣ୍ଟେନ୍ କରିବି। I don't want to marry. ମ୍ୟାରେଜ୍ କରିବାକୁ ଚାହିଁନି। ଏଇଟା ଗୋଟେ ପ୍ରକାର ମୋରାଲ ରିଲେସନ୍ ଟୁୱାର୍ଡସ୍ ଦ ଓମେନ୍ ଫକ୍। ଲେଡ଼ିଜ୍ ମାନଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ଏଇଟା ଗୋଟେ, ଓମେନ୍ ଫକ୍ ମାନଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ଏଇଟା ଗୋଟେ ହେଉଛି କ'ଣ କି ମୋରାଲ ରିଲେସନ୍। ଅନଲେସ୍ ଆଣ୍ଡ ଅନଟିଲ୍ ୟୁ ଆର୍ ସେଟଲ୍ଡ ୟୁର ସେଲ୍ଫ, ଡୋଣ୍ଟ ଗୋ ଟୁ ଦ ଅଲ୍ଟର। ବେଦୀ ଉପରକୁ ଉଠନ୍ତି। That means students, I often catch mothers talking far into the night to her eldest son, worrying about my future, about my marriage. ଯେତେବେଳେ ଝିଅ ଗୋଟେ ବଡ଼ ହେଇଯାଏ ଘରେ, ବାପା ମା ବହୁତ ସମୟ ଭାବନ୍ତି ପାଠ ପଢ଼େଇବୁ, ପାଠ ପଢ଼େଇବା ପରେ ପରେ ଯେଉଁଠି ଏଜୁକେଟେଡ୍ ଫ୍ୟାମିଲିରେ ଚାହାନ୍ତି ଝିଅକୁ କେମିତି ଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟମେଣ୍ଟ ଦେବା। ଝିଅମାନେ କ'ଣ କରିବେ, ଗ୍ରାଜୁଏସନ୍ ସରିଲା, ଗ୍ରାଜୁଏସନ୍ ପରେ ପରେ ଝିଅମାନେ କ'ଣ କରିବେ, ପିଜି କରିବେ, ପୋଷ୍ଟ ଗ୍ରାଜୁଏସନ୍। କିନ୍ତୁ ଅଧିକାଂଶ ଫ୍ୟାମିଲିରେ ପିଜି କରାନ୍ତି, ଅର୍ଥାତ୍ ପାଣି ଗ୍ରହଣ। ପିଜି, ପିରେ ହେଲା ପାଣି, ଜିରେ ହେଲା ଗ୍ରହଣ। ପାଣି ଗ୍ରହଣ ମାନେ କ'ଣ, ବାହାଘର। ଝିଅ ବଡ଼ ହେଇଗଲା, ଗ୍ରାଜୁଏଟ୍ ହେଇଗଲା ପରେ ବଡ଼ ହେଇଗଲା, ତମେ ଏଇନା ଆଉ 2 ବର୍ଷ 3 ବର୍ଷ ତମର ଯାଉ, ମାଇଣ୍ଡ ପାଗଳ ହେଇଯିବ, ତମ ମୁଣ୍ଡକୁ ରଖେଇଦେବେନି ଘର ଲୋକ। ଯଦି ତମ ସାଙ୍ଗ ଗୋଟେ କାହାର ବାହାଘର ହେଇଗଲା, ତମେ ଆଉ ଫୋନ୍ କଲ୍କୁ ଭାବିବ ସିମ୍ ଫିମ୍ କାଢ଼ିକିରି ଫୋପାଡ଼ି ଦେବି, ମୁଣ୍ଡକୁ ପୁରା ଡିଷ୍ଟର୍ବାନ୍ସ କରିଦେବେ। ଯଦି ତାଙ୍କ ଝିଅ ମୋ ସାଙ୍ଗର ଝିଅ ବାହାଘର ହେଇଗଲାଣି, ଜାଣିଲ ଆମର କ'ଣ କୋଉଦିନ ସେଟେଲ୍ କରିବା, ମୁଣ୍ଡକୁ ଖାଇଦେବେ। Students, before that we ought to decide. What you telling about this? Self-employment is better than engagement. Listen, students. Oh. I know they can't afford to keep me in college very long now. It costs about 20 rupees a month. ମୁଁ ଜାଣିଛି ସେମାନେ ଅଧିକା ମୋତେ ଆଫୋର୍ଡ କରିପାରିବେନି, କାରଣ ମାସକୁ ଖର୍ଚ୍ଚ ହେଉଛି କେତେ ଟଙ୍କା, 20 rupees a month। ଏତେ ପଇସା ଆଣି କୋଉଠି ସେ ଆଫୋର୍ଡ କରିବେ? ତେଣୁ କ'ଣ ନା ଝିଅକୁ ମ୍ୟାରେଜ୍ କରେଇଦିଅ। ଏଇଟା ପ୍ରକୃତରେ ଗୋଟେ ପ୍ରକାର ଥିଙ୍କିଂ ଅଛି ଲୋକମାନଙ୍କର। ଝିଅ ଘରେ ରହିଲେ ଆମ ପାଇଁ ଗୋଟେ ପ୍ରକାର ଟେନସନ୍ ରହୁଛି, ଆମେ ଝିଅକୁ ପର ଘରକୁ ଦେଇଦେବା। କିନ୍ତୁ ଘର ଠାରୁ ବର୍ତ୍ତମାନ ପର ଘର ଆହୁରି ଭୟଙ୍କର। ତେଣୁ ତା ପୂର୍ବରୁ ସେଲ୍ଫ ଏମ୍ପ୍ଲୟମେଣ୍ଟ ନିହାତି ଦରକାର। 20 rupees, the watchman exclaimed. ପାଠ ପଢ଼ିବାରେ ଏତେ ପଇସା ଖର୍ଚ୍ଚ ହେଉଛି? It was his month salary. ଆରେ ଇଏ ମୋ ମାସକର ଦରମା, তুমি 20 ଟଙ୍କା ଖର୍ଚ୍ଚ କରୁଛ ପାଠ ପଢ଼ିବାରେ? How can anybody spend so much for books? ଏତେ ପଇସାରେ କିଏ ଖର୍ଚ୍ଚ କରିବ? ଏତେ ପଇସା ଖର୍ଚ୍ଚ ହେଉଛି ପାଠ ପଢ଼ାରେ? It is the version of the watchman. Listen. Till today, she said, I was hoping that I would get a scholarship. ଝିଅଟି ସେଠୁ ଭାବିଲା ମନ ମନେ ବହୁତ ବଢିଆ ଗୋଟେ ଏକ୍ସକ୍ଲାମେସନ ଦେଇଛି। ଏବେ ସୁଦ୍ଧା ମୁଁ ପାଠ ପଢୁଛି, ମୁଁ ମଧ୍ୟ ଭାବୁଥିଲି ମତେ କିଛି